Thursday was very busy, a lot of emails going back and forth, should we stay, should we cancel, then emails were going back like, okay, can we get together Tuesday, and how we're gonna advertise that, and I think finally around 10 o'clock at night, we got everybody on board, and Kevin said, yeah, I'll put it in so it shows up on Monday, and it was done.
Yeah, I was really impressed how everybody worked together to make things happen.
Both those applicants too have been very accommodating to the commission itself. You know, they haven't really asked for anything outrageous, and they've been fairly compliant with, you know, all of our codes. And so it's kind of, in my mind, it wasn't fair. I mean, they you know, been nice to us, so we should have been nice to them.
They're good projects.
Yeah, and they are good projects for the township.
Let me give the regional update. Marla and I were at the Regional Planning Commission down in Colorado last evening. And one of the things we have is a presentation from Mike Monco, your colleague, Andrew.
And Basol.
I didn't catch his last name last night.
Basol, yeah.
Yeah. So it was an interesting, you know, we actually spent a lot of time talking about it. I don't know, what, an hour? You know, where I didn't realize this. So, you know, in our great county here, how many miles of road do you think are, you know, striped for bikes and have bike lanes? Less than 20. Ain't so good. So
And that's all
basically,
of Montgomery County.
yeah, I believe that's the right.
I think it's like
That's when we
70.
phrased it last night. Yeah.
It's not much.
So, you know, what they're trying to do is see, you know, get into the tips thing when things are being done on bridges, or if there's a repaving going on, to see whether they can eke out an extra foot of pavement to maybe make it safer. You know, all ways to sort of be part of the process so that we gradually try to improve our infrastructure for people who are walking and biking. And this is part of the greater Montco 2040 vision that the county has. And, you know, I thought it was interesting, you know, to look at it. I mean, certainly, I don't know, I'm sure you guys see it too, but, you know, my way home during the summer months, it's not unusual to see a group of 20 guys out there riding their bikes on Eifer Road or, you know, coming down the hill. And so, you know, there are people who are using our roads for things other than, you know, vehicular traffic. So anyway, that's what they're doing. They sort of, you know, these are the books that they distribute, and there's information online, but, you know, they sort of have a strategic plan in terms of where they want to try to move people. None of those really are out our way. A lot of them are closer to the city, but a few of them come out nearer this way. I mean, obviously, we have the trail, which moves a lot of people to and from, you know, Green Lane and back down. That gets pretty heavily used. So it was an interesting, you know, presentation. The other things going on were basically the other municipalities. As you know, they're looking at what to do about the school at South Elementary. That was a school, apparently, that building was built in 1951. They've had issues with mold. All the windows are pretty much shot in terms of their moisture barrier. So they got to make a decision whether or not they do a repair, which will probably take another 10 years, and spend a lot of money, or perhaps just getting rid of the school and redistricting, or perhaps tearing it down and starting over again. I have to say I was very impressed with one of the school board members who was there, who knew that this is, for those of you who know, this has been a very hot topic in the public when it's in public meetings. And he's like, look, I felt like I needed to go over there and move furniture and crawl up into some of these spaces and not necessarily take some paid consultant's word as to what the problem was. You know, so they're taking it very seriously to try to figure out, you know, what to do. And of course, there's always going to be people who aren't happy with whatever decision you make. But that's a big thing. So if they have one of these public sessions and you want to weigh in, it's your time to do it. The last thing was, we talked about Collegeville. For those of you who don't know, that dog leg that wasn't supposed to be a dog leg, but it's still a dog leg. There's going to be a fairly significant gas and what do you call it, convenience store. For So that's a big thing, that, you know, you'll be seeing, there's still a lot to work out, but.
So they're gonna eliminate that whole thing, so like right where where Powerhouse Transfeed is, 29, will just
You're gonna
connect
go
right
to-
to 29?
You're gonna kind of go to the left of it, come down, right? You, Crystal, you know the plan better than I do.
There are two plans. One is if the Royal Farms becomes reality, because they're still in the process, but I guess they're getting closer every now and
Sounds
then.
like it.
PennDOT has its own plan if Royal Farms goes away. So either way, what will happen is when you come up 29 through Collegeville, you'll just go straight across.
You just go straight.
You'll go straight across, and the road goes down to like the Jiffy Lube place, whatever it's called, and the
Yeah.
Bridge Hotel. That'll become a one-way in only.
Yeah,
There'll be like a little slip ramp there, you can go into that, but the intersection itself with the traffic light, there'll be one traffic light right by the McDonald's. So you go straight across. And the Royal Farms, the Royal
So
Farms
you
plan
basically want to
just
cut
swings it a
across
little
that
wider.
open field, the
Yeah.
field that's
Yeah,
open
the-
now. So you'll just kind of turn up like by the Powerhouse.
Yeah, you just swing around where the Royal Farms is gonna
And
be,
you'll
and
just have
swing
like
back.
a little kind of access way to just get to the Jiffy Lube and
yeah, the
That's
dealership had some objections, but I think they worked the traffic flow to satisfy them.
So what about the Perkins Hotel?
the bridge hotel.
Nothing changes.
Yeah, that's coming out of the
It's an historic building, so they're not touching that.
Yeah. There's somebody who's trying to purchase it, but.
Again,
Yeah,
it changes hands every 4 or 5
not
minutes.
it's dollars.
Yeah.
Everything's dollars, right? Okay, last item. I have an email to read from Hans Schwecker that he sent to me last week. Subject, resignation. With a heavy heart, I want to notify you of my resignation from the Lower Frederick Planning Commission. Everything has a beginning and an end, and the end has finally come for me. A job that I thought would last a year or two has somehow stretched into about 20. Serving on this board has been a great honor. With you and many others, we have done some really good and important work, most of which I'm terribly proud of. Keep up the good fight, preserve rural character. With the recent member additions to the Lower Frederick Planning Commission, I think you're in good hands. I want to thank Lower Frederick Township for giving me this opportunity to serve the community. Kind regards, Hans Schwecker. As many of you know, Hans has been on this commission for a long time.
So is that effective tonight, is that when?
I did call him and ask him when I received this, and he said it was effective immediately. Yeah. So, you know, I think Hans has been a real asset to the group over the years. He's had his opinions and he's been consistent in them, which I think is a good thing. And you know, I think what I'd like to do, we've done it for others, is we drafted sort of a letter of, you know, commendation and thanking him. We've also used to go out for drinks or something after the meeting, which we can discuss that informally if that's what we want to do, invite on. But I think we should reach out to him in some way, just to, you know, mark his service to the
Party or something.
Yeah.
Party.
So anyway, that's the last thing that I had for this evening.
Oh, that's very sad news.
Yeah, but you know, he put it his own.
Oh, I know. Trust me, it actually is quite a commitment. I was a little bit surprised, you know, how much time is entailed in reviewing the documents. It's so nice that you get us, you know, the review letters and the plans and the stuff early. But it takes what I was thinking was going to be like, oh, maybe just review something over coffee. Now it's a couple days a week, you know, I have to put aside a couple hours in the morning to review it. So I can understand, you know, Hans maybe not wanting to, but it's very sad to hear.
I have one question.
Yeah.
So at our last meeting, I think it was the last meeting, we put through, Belmont Hills wasn't here to present, but we put together a list of items, recommendations on how they can achieve their plan how they can better their,
Right.
and then at the work session, Ernie had read those comments, and they were there for that. What is the next step? Do we expect them to come back here to a board of supervisors meeting? I'm just curious on where we're at in the process, or we return to the board of supervisors.
I guess.
They'll be there on Tuesday.
This coming.
The one other thing too, I think, I completely forgot about it until you just brought this up. The question that I posed first at the planning commission meeting regarding the amount of lots, because the 2005 order says 46, and then the zoning hearing board says we're gonna add one more, and then that's 48. You know, that, and then you said perhaps that's a thing for the solicitor. And when I attended the work session, on 10:30, I posed the question again, and both Ben Goldthorpe and Mr. Kennedy were there. And I figured, well, maybe they knew how they got to 48. But nobody seems to know how the 48 lot total was ever arrived at. The orders of 2005, the Board of Supervisors order specifically says it's paragraph 3, subparagraph A, reduce it down. Now, Mr. Keenan had said he would look into it, but he doesn't know. So perhaps was it a typo on the part of the zoning hearing board? Was the wrong plan, the original 47 lot plan, given to the zoning hearing board, and they just looked at it and said, oh, well, here's 47, we'll just add the additional one, 48. So
I don't think it's a mistake. That's my.
but there is nothing, nobody can show any documentation or any votes or any legal stuff saying how it went from 46 to 47 to 48.
We're working on it.
Certainly, when a plan comes to me to review, I would be happy to go back through that, to just do that outside the context of being under review of the plan, with the best way possible. We want the developer to pay for my time to do that, so we wanted to coincide with the review of a revised plan that comes in. So since we haven't had that kind of a submission from him, I haven't spent that kind of time going back through.
But I know that there's been some discussion,
Yeah.
even at the work session, there was discussion about lot placement, you know, like, oh, let's, you know, move this here, we can move this over here. But I think, you know, before
You've raised two excellent questions. The one is about the actual number of lots, and I think that needs to be reviewed.
before you can make any kind of approval, because you,
absolutely.
you have to know, you know, how can you even talk about, you know, site design, layout, and things like that, if you don't know how many lots you're talking about in the first
Well, I
place?
think in the sketch plans phase, the
They can
plus or
decide.
minus one isn't that big a deal, but if they're gonna come back in with a revised preliminary plan, and they're gonna post an escrow for the review of that, and that would be the time for me to
To
go back
figure out.
and research the records on what they have rights to in my records, and of course, we need the solicitor's input as well. The other question that you put up in a recent email was about the actual time frame that remains for their existing.
Oh, yes, it's
approval.
August 8th of 2020.
Yeah, so that again goes to a solicitor. I'm not gonna try to play a lawyer on that one, but I'll look forward.
But that's how it reads.
Yeah,
Once-
right, once something
Whatever the
comes-
time was when they received the approval at I believe they received the preliminary approval at the February 5th, 2007 meeting.
So
Or 2008.
I'm gonna jump in the middle here because I've watched lawyers argue over what the actual clauses are.
There's case law that's been decided now.
And I'm happy that that's not my job.
Yeah,
But,
be happy.
But I think that's a question the lawyer's gonna have to look at when it comes back.
Well, it's on or about August 8th, 2020.
So I think both those questions are out there, and will be part of the review and no, this will not, they need to.
Well, when the acts, well, there's been 3 different acts, Act 46, Act 87, and Act 54, that granted the permanent extensions. And when Act 46, the first act, 2010 was kind of a little ambiguous, and then there was a question as to, you know, when does the tolling period start, when does it stop, you know, how do you calculate this? But subsequently, there have been, not only when Act 54 was passed, it clarified the language, and there's also been at least 4 or 5 different court cases, so there's case law. And I based that calculation on the Act, case law, and reading entirely too many legal documents than I ever wanted to read.
So what I can tell you is, we have looked back through minutes, so looked at the minutes for 2005, 2008, and there were numerous instances where we talked about density and confirmed the density. So that's why I'm kind of on the side of saying that I have a feeling that the number is okay. There may be other things which conflict with that, but I know that it was talked about. I don't want to get into the weeds at this time because I would like to go home.
Oh, yeah.
But I can tell you that we're looking into it, and until I know anything definitive, I can't say that I have any reason to doubt that number.
But without an actual
I know what that says.
vote taken.
But let me just finish. So we'll get to the bottom of it, or our lawyer will get to the bottom of it. But that's what we pay them for. And I agree, it's something that needs to get to the bottom of before we move forward with anything. The other thing you have to keep in mind is, I believe when we did the original plan came in under the old zoning. So we have to go back and look at the old zoning to see what they got from that, right? Because we had to split DC and R2 at the time. And the neighborhood line requirements under the old zoning may have been different than what they are now. I would have to look at that.
And including our numbering system, which changed in 2007 or something like that. So reference numbers aren't applicable to our current zoning.
I understand that,
Yeah.
because a lot of this.
It's on everybody's radar,
Six
and I appreciate you bringing it up.
It's just a vote makes it legal.
I
Discussions do not.
I got that.
So my observation from the meeting was, from Ernie Reddick, what we worked on that night, anytime a supervisor would mention as far as the attached homes, they did continue to say, well, if we can increase the density. So I think the supervisor did a good job controlling the conversations, and that's not what we're offering. We're offering alternatives with the numbers you have. And then even another comment to them was that their plans continue to have homes in a straight line, which we're asking them to reconsider. So those are my observations from the meetings based off of the work we are in the last meeting.
Okay. Anything else?
Would you, as a board, like me to draft a thank you for your service to Hans, and then next meeting?
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, I'm sure you all sign it. Is that-
That's a good one. And maybe I guess supervisor probably wants to sign it too. I don't remember who we did one for.
Should I do it like a Hallmark card?
Make it funny.
Did we do one for Crystal?
You use that.
I think we just went to the north side and had.
One more thing. As regards to the south side of the school you were referring to, I actually received an email.
Yeah.
They're looking for members to actually have a committee to discuss those options, like what do they suggest. So I replied to it and said, yeah, I'd be interested in, being a voice, because obviously it has some impact on taxes. We saw that when the West School went on.
Right.
I finally benefited from having a new school, but it greatly impacted our taxes. And is there a way to kind of rejuvenate a building that's there versus, and if you redistrict, then people lose jobs. So again, there's negative impact.
1951 is the number that sticks in my.
Oh, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that, but we have old buildings that they're repurposing into condominiums, and
I get it.
that whole
The three price quotes that I
It's
had
also asbestos.
regarding the
Yeah.
school
So
was
they-
to construct a new school, if they would decide that that would be the case, it would be perhaps a $20 million tax burden to the Perkiomen Valley School District. The renovations and upgrades were guesstimated at $6.5 million. If they would do redistricting, it would be perhaps an additional $300,000 per year in busing. Now, I don't know if they're hardcore figures, but they were the figures that were thrown out. 20 mil for the new school, a new school, 6.5 for renovations, and 300,000 for redistricting and busing to the facilities we already have.
They said everything's on the table, right?
Yeah, it's,
Okay, can I get a motion?
I'll move.
Second, I'll